Antonio Vivaldi, Lost and Found, research project submitted to Professor Christopher Pfeiffer, February 20th, 2023. Antonio Vivaldi is a well-known composer today, but that's not to say that for many years of his works were relatively unknown. This truly piqued my interest, as it may yours, to know how this is possible. Vivaldi was born in 1678, was a priest, although for most of his life not practicing. His father was a priest and as well, and very inspirational to the young Antonio, who learned music from him. It's hard to believe, knowing what we know of him today, that it was not until the 1900s that the vast majority of his works came to light. This is but a mere snapshot of the impact Vivaldi had on the music of not just his time, but the music of today. Antonio Vivaldi was born and raised in Venice and was greatly influenced by the church and sacred vocal music. His professional career began in 1713 when his compositions earned him commission from various institutions. This is also the same year that his first opera was produced. Vivaldi is best known for being a trendsetter in the form of concerto. In 1729, Vivaldi stopped publishing his works in favor of selling them to private investors, which seemed more profitable. He never really settled into steady work, preferring more flexibility in his artistic endeavors. This could be partially why he lost favor and saw his career declining. The modesty of his funeral notes that he most likely died with little means in 1741. Apart from being influenced by others, Vivaldi was influential himself. Ludwig van Beethoven and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart were inspired by Vivaldi's concertos, and like their former created some of the most well-known and influential concertos known today. Another way that his influence shines is in the fact that most composers of the day would take things from others' works or repeat a common composition theme from other works. This was not the case for Vivaldi, and like so, neither Beethoven or Mozart did this either. Although the high notes of Antonio's life are truly high, the low notes are especially low. For instance, Fish notes that economic conditions in 1730s Venice, however, were in a state of continuing decline, and Venetian music tastes were rapidly changing. By the mid 1730s, Vivaldi was out of money. His operas had ceased to attract Italian audiences, his music was not in style and therefore no longer in demand. So concerto sales to wealthy European visitors were not the prime income source they had once been. He even attempted to move to reignite his career, but unfortunately that prospect failed as well. Once again, Fish notes, more adverse to Vivaldi's career than the emperor's death was the official royal mourning observance. Opera performance was banned for a year. Thus, when Charles VI was buried, Vivaldi's chance to jumpstart his opera career was also buried. In 1741, just a year after arriving in Vienna, Vivaldi died at the age of 63. One of Vivaldi's lesser known works is his second opera, Orlando Furioso. This example is a wonderful view into the creative genius of Vivaldi. Listening to 2 minutes of this opera at 1 hour and ending at 1 hour and 2 minutes, one can note the timbre is light with soft and sharp undertones. It is arid but crisp, piercing through the air and alerting the senses. The instrumentation leads out with the flute and is shortly accompanied by the violin. The excerpt closes with the accompaniment of vocals. It is polyphonic in nature, as the vocals or instrumentation could stand alone, but together bring in a solid and beautiful melody. The form is thorough composed, with an A-B-C-D style delivery. The tempo is best described by John Holland when he said, "Conductor Jean-Christophe Spinozzi takes things at a sprightly pace, not unwelcome in an opera which runs over 3 hours, and manages to make it inexplicable why this or any Vivaldi opera should have been neglected, which one could agree that the tempo is moderate or andante." The second musical example is a tone in Villa. This was Vivaldi's first opera, and the one that launched his career. Observing just 1 minute of this composition, it can be noted that the timbre is plucky and jerky with the instrumentation, and the vocals are loud and blusterous, at the same time warm and flowing gently. The instrumentation has the sound of rapid jolts of volume getting louder and then suddenly softer. Specifically, the instrumentation includes a harpsichord, a cello at first, followed by a violin. One cannot help but notice the vocal aspects as well in this excerpt. The texture is polyphonic and the form is thorough composed using an A-B-C-D style setup. In full overview, Roland put it best when he said some of the recitatives could benefit from a quicker, crisper approach, but perhaps the deliberate treatment, giving full value to each word, is preferable to a hasty, garbled effect. The third example to look at is a concerto in A major for harpsichord. In this example, the timbre is high, sharp, and plucky, then bold and mellow, followed by sweet and gentle. The instruments noted in this example are the harpsichord, followed by the cello, and eventually the violin. The texture is homophonic, and the form is ternary, with ABA style setup. Linda Kobler states that it is an excellent historical introduction to the early concerto and as a tutor of Vivati's style, it introduces students to almost all of his compositional trademarks, including ritornello form, first to third movements, syncopations, idiomatric string figuration, clear textures, sequences, unison writing, and a three-movement fast-slow scheme. One can truly see what she is referring to in even this small example. Although it has been close to 300 years since the time of Antonio Vivaldi, it is beyond belief that so much of his work was lost to time for so long. As one can see in his compositions and impacts on music in his day and today have noteworthy mention. This snapshot serves to help us better understand the importance to publicly document those who have had any impact in music, if only to ensure that they are not tragically lost as Vivaldi's works almost were. His musical journey could be seen as the ultimate lost and found legacy.